truth is, your complaining has driven me crazy and out of my mind. You're out of luck and out of time to have treated me so unkind. I can't take this no more, rather be walking out that door. Now you know how hurt burns. It's like a curse, killing the desire. You've left the game, and now you're fired. You are not my friend. You're not my lover or a good man. You've been fooled if you believed that I still love you, but it's over now. I've tried to convince myself in believing your lies. Oh, why? It's been years, and the same old you is still living here. I can't take this no more, rather be walking out that door. Now you know how hurt burns. It's like a curse, killing the desire. No more. You've left the game, and now you're fired. You're not my friend. You're not my lover or a good man. You've been fooled if you believed that I still love you, but it's over now. I've tried, but I failed. You've never loved me. It's time that I moved on, setting you free. You should be ashamed, leaving me in all of this pain, without nothing to ever explain. Broken hearted I have nothing to gain, nothing to gain. Set you free. You should be ashamed. All of this pain, without nothing to ever explain. I am God, and I am never coming back. I am gone, and I am leaving you all alone. I'm never coming back home, leaving. You're not my
I think just how much you mean to me. Oh, I have kept my faith in us all this time, understanding how much it's meant to be. Yeah, I appreciate what we have. There is no turning back. Celebrate, two as one. Life has just begun. Celebrate the love we share. Celebrate everywhere. We can do this all night long. Celebrate you and me. Love will be eternally. There's no way we can go wrong. Let's take a ride on the road to paradise. It'll lead us on the right path to you and I. So let's take our time and make it right, because this is what we've dreamed of all the time. I appreciate what we have. There is no turning back. Celebrate, two as one. Life has just begun. Celebrate the love we share. Celebrate everywhere. We can do this all night long. Come on now. Celebrate you and me. Love will be eternally. There's no way we can go wrong. Come on, take my hand. Let's get to moving, moving. Gonna make it last forever, yeah. We don't have to rush, cause we have all night. Let's celebrate all through our lives. Celebrate the love we share. Celebrate everywhere. We can do this all night long. Celebrate you and me. Love will be eternally. There's no way we can go wrong. Celebrate the love we share. Celebrate everywhere. We can do this all night long.
same way too. Oh, there's nothing in this world I wanna give just to be with you. To be with you, and share all my world, just to be with you, You're making my dreams come true. Every little thing you do, you know you got a place in my heart. And nothing, no one can keep us apart. 'Cause when you hold me, I feel it deep inside. And you know it, you feel the same way too. Oh, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't give just to be with you. I'd do anything just to be with you. I'd go
live spot. Glad you can tune in. Of course, we're very excited today because, as you can see, we have a new guest this week. And, of course, the whole full crew is here. There's Grizz, Joyce, and Ray. And then, of course, our guest, Patrick Yandall, is here with us. Welcome. Help us welcome his show. Hey.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Patrick, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, bro. Great to have you. You got some excellent music, and of course, we're going to talk with you today about your music, and of course, everything about you, of course, and everything. But we're very excited, and of course, Grizz actually set things up. So I'm going to let Grizz. Yeah, I'm gonna let Grizz kind of introduce or kind of take over things right now. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Newsflash. Okay.
Yeah. There you go, Grizz.
Or you didn't get the memo, Grizz?
I'm sorry. I obviously missed it. So. Sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, Patrick, thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show. We're so grateful. And I know we've tried to connect before, but your schedule was like crazy busy. And I said, well, try again. And every time I try again, no, there's something else came up. So
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Sorry.
that's okay, because life happens. So that's not a problem. I'm just glad that you were still wanting to come on our show. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And thank you for bringing so many people to our show as well, because they're they're like come up and I'm like, okay, this is the first time I'm seeing these names, so this is cool. I like it.
Right.
So welcome, everyone. I just saw Vince Cruz and Lisa Lang. Those are two more names that came on, so thank you for coming on. And I know you're here to see Patrick, but I'm hoping that you'll be liking our show enough that you come back and visit again every week.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Yes, so thank you for that, Patrick.
Cool.
Tell us, because since you're new to our audience, tell us about you. Where did you start your music? How old were you when you started getting interested in music and playing the guitar?
Very early. My dad was a musician. He played a lot of different instruments for the Army. And I was an Army brat, so we moved all over. But Michigan, we stayed for a long time. I was playing, I started out playing trumpet in 4th grade. Right. And guitars were always around the house because that was one of my dad's instruments. And I started on that early. So, 5th grade, started playing clubs when I got into 9th grade in Michigan. And so it had an early start. And
so basically when you were a teenager or preteen, you were already starting at adult clubs.
Yes.
Which aren't allowed yet to go in. You were there.
Right.
Wow.
A lot of the clubs made me stay on breaks. I had to go outside and until the next set. So it was the law in Michigan, and so I did it all the years through high school. So
wow.
It was a good training ground.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt.
Exactly. Especially at that age. So when since you were playing trumpet since 4th grade and then you changed over to guitar, what made you change?
Seemed like the girls liked the guitar more than the trumpet. So
there you
go. And also, a lot of the music I was listening to was guitar based. I started out listening to a lot of different kinds of rock, and Jimi Hendrix was a big influence when I was young. I heard a lot of different music in his music, and that's what really had me gravitate towards the guitar. That's where it started.
Right, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Purple Haze, yes, that's my favorite.
I can hear it too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not so smooth sometimes, but it's that's where I started. And then later on in life I started to hear guys playing around Detroit and everything. I started to hear about a guy named Earl Klug, and Benson was around there a lot, and that after being able to learn rock music pretty quickly as a musician, and I had a good ear from my dad. I think I got that from my dad. I started picking up and really studying jazz after I heard again Earl Klug and George Benson. Then once I started in that genre, I was hooked, and all these years just been trying to get better and better at it.
Right. Yeah, because those guys are awesome.
Yes,
yeah,
very good.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you didn't need private lessons. You had a teacher right there in your home.
Yeah, there was a lot. Yep, definitely. And then I started doing course. I did summer courses in Boston and New York, and came across guys like Mike Stern was a big influence when I was early, kind of a rock jazz fusion guy. And from then on, it went on from there.
Awesome.
Very nice.
What was there? There was something that I had, and then I just totally lost it now.
That's because we're so impressed with our guests.
Oh, jeez.
You leave us dumbfounded.
Did you ever listen to any Wes Montgomery and stuff like that?
Definitely. My dad had that stuff all, on, and I, again, listening to his music, and then hearing somebody like Hendrix use that style in rock, just really, again, everything kind of came together for me, hearing guys like that. But Wes is the king, definitely. And, then you listen to Benson, you hear all the stuff, his Benson style coming from Wes, I mean, so.
Yeah.
Like earlier I was listening to Curtis Mayfield.
Oh, beautiful.
And definitely playing. I didn't realize that he tuned his guitar with his left hand, but he played right-handed.
Yeah.
He's got a different sound that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, and there's been guys over the years that tune their guitars, bottom string up, and it just, definitely. But Curtis Mayfield, beautiful music all these years that came out from him.
Yeah, what I like about you, when I listen to you play live, Artful Expressions, and like I told you off the air, when I hear a bass player come in that strong, I know it's going to be good. And it's just amazing. And that's why I said, this guy's not all smooth. He's got some rock. And I was listening to that. So going back again, like Gris was doing, what was the first genre that you experienced, and how did that evolve?
Again, it was probably the rock. It was, growing up Michigan kids, all of us as kids were listening to a lot of rock. Bands in Michigan, like Aerosmith, and everybody was kind of in that, when I was in grade school, those were the bands. And so to really play out live and play with a band, you had to know those songs. So we formed a small band in our neighborhood in Michigan and started to learn, everything from Zeppelin to Aerosmith to, and then we started getting the funk stuff with the Isley Brothers and some Funkadelic, and everything was, early stuff that we started to learn. And so it was kind of crazy. It was cool growing up, in Michigan with Detroit and Flint and Saginaw, that you could play really a lot of different styles, and somebody was gonna be into it, and you could do a show and do all those different kind of artists' music, and you could still work. It was a good time.
Was also when you, excuse me, my allergies.
That's okay.
My allergies are kicking into the curb, so I apologize. Was one of the other, because I think they were from that area as well. Kiss, weren't they from Michigan State?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Did you guys play any of their music as well? When you
I did when I first started playing early, and when I was 13 and 14 playing in some of the clubs, you had to do some of that stuff. Now myself, I didn't really particularly like that music from Kiss, but I did play it. There was stuff that during the set, and Joyce, you probably done this where you're looking forward to playing a song, and then some songs you're like, okay, no, I got to do this. You got to work. You got to work. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do know.
So there was songs like that, and and some of the disco stuff that was out too. Some of those songs are hard to play at night, where you're thinking, okay, I just got to do this because I want to eat.
I want to eat.
Yeah. So again, that's how it worked out with.
Okay.
It's funny you brought up Kiss. I was like,
I just remember I don't mind some of their songs.
Yeah.
Some of them, not all of them, but I do like quite a bit of them. And I knew they were from the state of Michigan. I just can't remember which city they actually came from.
Yeah.
From Led Zepp, because I love Led Zepp.
Mhm.
Which one was your favorite song to play live?
Probably Over the Hills and Far Away. It had an acoustic intro, and I used to have an acoustic on a stand.
Right.
And then when the electric part came in, I would switch to the electric
Yeah.
run. So for a guitar player, it was pretty fun stuff.
Right. By any chance, did you guys play Kashmir? Because that's my top favorite.
We tried that, but I'll tell you what, the drummer couldn't handle it. And there's a lot of drummers that cannot handle that song because of that time. The time signature is pretty intense. So.
Intense, I bet. Yeah. Because the drums and the bass are just amazing.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly
what draws me to that song.
Yeah.
What about
Grizz is a rocker here.
Oh yeah, Grizz definitely got some Grizz. Got some rock roots.
Okay? I still love the headbanger stuff, okay? That's just like my main thing to go to. But the other one is, by any chance, did you guys do Immigrant Song? Were you able to play that?
Never done it, but I love that song. Yeah, great tune. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, a question in the chat room from Kate. Let me go back. Sorry, Kate, because there was so much that's been going on. I think she asked, when was the first time that you, something about writing?
Yes, it says when did he start writing music?
Mm-hmm. Well, first band that I actually went on the road with out of Michigan was called Clockwork, and all the guys in that band, we all loved like the jazz fusion that was coming out in those days. Chick Corea, all the stuff. And Pat Metheny caught our attention early, and so we would write. we were starting to record our own music and write our own music, and it was all really jazz fusion stuff. But sometimes at night, with some of the clubs we played, let us do like a dinner set. Hey, play some jazz and stuff. So we used to play our jazz fusion, some of our tunes there. Then later on the night, we'd go back to playing, some of the Funky Town or something like that.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, okay, here we got to earn our money. Okay, let's try Funky Town.
Take you to that one?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, that's too funny.
Again, and now's one of those tunes you're just thinking, okay, let's just get through this. That's why musicians drink.
They normally be drinking and eating at the same time. Eating and drinking.
Well, did y'all record any music with a Clockwork Band? You said that was the first time you wrote music. Did you guys record an album?
We had a band house where we recorded a lot of stuff, and it made it to cassette, but it never made it to a cassette. Shows how old I am, right? But it never, and we actually had a 2-track, and it just never made it to a record.
Okay.
All right.
Then when was your first recorded album?
Living in San Diego. Yeah, my first album was called Patrick Yandall and Matrix. And there's a lot of cats in San Diego that ended up, some of the top guys, you probably heard of Fatburger, the keyboard player, and Carl Evans Jr., rest in peace. He's on there, and a lot of other guys from around. James East, Nathan East's brother, played bass on there, and so a lot of guys from San Diego ended up being on that record. And it came out in '92, and I got my first record deal it was a rap label from the Bay Area. The guy saw me, the owner of the label came down and saw me play, and said, "Hey, how'd you like to be on a label?" And, being a young kid, and a label, sure. Where do I sign? Where do I sign? So it was one of those, never saw a cent from it. But at least he got it out and to Tower Records back then, and it went on from there. But it helped me get another record deal. My next record deal was with Brainchild Records, and Russ Freeman of the Ripping Tin. When I got signed by them, Russ Freeman was just was on there, but kind of making his exit, and they were looking for another guitar artist. So that was my first record label, and that Artful Expression that you were talking about, it was recorded on that album and released in '97. It was called A Lasting Embrace. But Smitty Smith played the bass on there, and there's some Greg Vale was on sax for that album. But it was the same label that Kilauea was on. Quite a few other, well-known artists. Contemporary jazz, it was called back then. Remember that? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Before the smooth came in, so.
Whatever that is, right?
Right. Whatever that is. And you know what? It was coined here in San Diego by you guys might remember Art Good that had KI.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's his claim to fame. So it was.
Wow,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool.
What you were talking about being signed, and I know a lot of well-known artists such as yourself are going independent. So what are the pros and cons of being independent and signed with a label? Since you've been there, in
the early days, the labels did a lot, and I mean a lot. All you had to do was focus on the music, and it was not. For me, it was nice back then because all I had to do was focus on the music. They paid for studio. They paid for the musicians coming in the studio. They paid for reproducing the album, and even when you went out to do like a festival or a show, they usually picked up the tab because the festivals weren't actually doing that back then. The labels were doing that. So when I went and do a show, all I had to focus on was, okay, who's going to do this show with me? Who's going to, and everything else was taken care of.
Right.
But so they even paid for rehearsal space back then. So, and nowadays, I don't know if anybody's doing that. Maybe cats like Boney and, Dave Koz have that kind of arrangement with their labels. I don't know. But I don't hear about that much anymore. It's just,
a lot different.
It's just not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't you think, Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I'm hearing that a lot.
Since the labels is paying for everything, you had to get out there to perform to make the money. But look how much money the labels actually making.
Yeah.
You gotta think about that.
Yeah.
Because they putting all their dollars up into there. And,
right.
You had to be out there steady performing in order to make any money.
Well, you remember the term recoup was the term. Yeah.
Yep.
That was the dirty word back then because any money your record made went to the label. And, they forked out a lot of money. Again, we were recording up in LA, all these big studios, mastering at Bernie Grundman's. I walk in there and like Lorber and everybody was just up in there doing their stuff. So I knew the money was being spent. So again, you're hoping to make some money out of it, but it's not like pop music. It's jazz. It's contemporary jazz. So you're just not gonna see it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Have since you writing and you write your own music also and everything, are you keeping your own catalog?
Yes. I've never sold rights to any. I've been offered it before, and it was tempting. But when I started doing session work when I moved to San Diego, I was doing session work in LA, and I was doing session work for a group that was on Capitol Records. And there were cats in there that had been around a while. Chucky Booker was on that label, and and there was guys that were pretty wise about things, and they were. I was told early on in that whole process, don't ever sell your book, don't ever give up your publishing rights, publishing rights you had to do once in a while for some of these record labels.
Yeah.
That in the early days, that's how where they made money too, the publishing rights. So yeah, that's one thing it's funny you ask that, because I have had offers for that, and it sounds good at first, but yeah, if you give up that right, that's too much.
Yeah.
How many albums have you released to date?
23.
Wow.
23. So yeah, I've done. It's mostly the contemporary jazz stuff, but I put out a blues album one year, and a rock album, a rock instrumental album, and a lot of stuff of my stuff comes around because I do some work for these music libraries that we were talking about earlier, Gary. And then they come to me and, hey, do you have any of this kind of music? And okay, I'll put together a whole project, and then after doing that, it's like, well, that sounds like an album to me. So, you go through it, and then all of a sudden you're putting it out. It's, again, these days for me, making money wherever I can with these songs I do, I'm in,
Oh, absolutely.
I remember back in the old days, you would see your music. So a guy called me up one day and said, hey, I hate to tell you, they're using one of your songs in this porn movie I saw, and I'm like, well, I can't get too mad at that.
Yeah.
As long as if they registered it, and it's,
Right.
Are you paying?
Yeah, as long as you're paying me something.
Yeah. Can I talk about that on here? Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're fine. Yeah,
Yes.
you can use my music, but I don't need to pay it, okay?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to put my name on that.
My name.
Only put my name on the check. Okay.
Exactly. What movie was was it Fatburger or Mr. Fatburger? Wasn't it a soundtrack to a movie?
Yeah, it was just used in a Fruitvale Station. I don't know if you remember that. It was the story about the young African American that was killed up in the Bay Area at the subway station, Fruitvale.
Wow.
So Michael B. Jordan starred in that movie. So we, it was nice. Again, it was a music library came to me and said, hey, we think your song would fit in this scene. What do you? Here's the license. Here's what's can happen, and that was actually my third in a major feature film like that. So and I knew the story about that, and I said, yeah, I'm honored. I don't care what happens. I don't care about the money. Just to be in a movie like that, it was a go for me.
That's pretty awesome.
Of course.
That is.
So we went to the movie, and it was kind of cool at the credits at the end, to see it in the soundtrack and everything, and it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I really admire your versatility. I really do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
That's great. And I love talking to people like that because, I grew up in South Louisiana where there was blues and zydeco and jazz, but I trained classically. And then I have R&B, had older brothers and sisters that always brought the Motown.
Yeah.
So I have all this blend, the classic rock and everything. And I just love it all.
Yeah, me too. Same here.
Love it. And my turnaround is when my big brother from the Army brought home Weather Report.
Oh, yeah.
And so I love that. So when I heard you playing live on the video, I said, oh, he's not just smooth. I love this.
It's hurt me sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, where do you think jazz is going right now? Smooth jazz, contemporary jazz?
Yeah.
Where's it going right now?
I'm not sure, to be honest. The thing to me that's kind of cool nowadays, although it's not a money maker, is that the smooth jazz. I check out Music Choice on cable TV sometimes, and I listen.
Yeah,
just
too.
Just because I know I have stuff on there, and I just kind of check it out. But there's sounds on the music that's coming out of there that before smooth jazz when it was kind of hitting hard and there were labels around, they did not want to hear, like a rock sounding guitar. Now you hear it because I think people are like, well, I'm putting out my music and here it is, like it or not, So I think that's, to me, that's the approach of a lot of artists. Here it is. I'm not trying to appease the smooth jazz people by, you know what I mean, following
Right.
those
Right.
guidelines.
Right.
I mean, I remember one of the albums I put out, some of the radio programmers were like, we can't play this. Your guitar sounds like a rock guitar. It's too rock sounding. And I, just be like, what are you talking
whatever.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, Joyce, you remember the Weather Report days. You're coming out, you're hearing guitar players like Larry Carlton, and some of that
Yes.
stuff. It was rock sounding guitars.
That's
I
right.
loved it.
Yeah.
Now, again, so to me now it's kind of coming around again. The money's not there like it used to be, but people are putting together projects like, this is me, this is the way I want to sound,
Yes.
like it or not, play it or not. And you still got to get the radio promotion behind it, but
Yeah.
here it is,
Yeah.
like it or not.
Yeah.
But I think that the audience, because we're in this technology, things are moving fast, and people need to be entertained. Because even when I was booked, I was the smooth jazz group, but right in the middle, I put in a little fusion and R&B, and the crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
They loved it, and I took a little risk. But the coordinator of the city, I forget that title, she said, "Oh my goodness, did you see the audience?" And in other words, like you're saying, the radio station was saying that, but what they have to understand, that we have so much technology, so much stuff coming at us all the time. The audience wants to be entertained. And even though the smooth and the little trickles here and there,
Yeah.
it sounds great, but in a live situation, people want to be entertained. They want to be stimulated. Right,
I
Gris?
agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. And that's,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Patrick. I'm sorry.
well, I was going to say, that's why Joyce was watching that concert video of Artful Expression. On the record, if you listen to it, it's pretty laid back. It's very laid back. But when we play that thing out live, I let the musicians cut loose. And actually, I usually do more of a rock solo because, again, to your point, it's to me, it's more exciting. I mean, if you... I won't mention some of the artists I've seen, their shows got to the point where you're just watching going, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall asleep because everything was so smooth.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say who it was, but it was a huge name. And I went to the show and I'm like, what? Because he used to have all this funk in there and a long bass solo. And I was just on my feet clapping. Then I saw a show of his in the early 2000s, maybe 2010 or somewhere around there. And I was just amazed. The whole show was like a sleeper. It was just, what happened? What happened there? Is this what they're telling you to play, or do you want to play like that?
Right.
You have to listen to your audience, because my husband helps me out a lot, and he was like, honey, after a certain amount of time, people are just being polite.
Yeah, I agree.
They're just being polite. So he helps me. When I do a show, he will just be honest. He said, you don't need to do that song anymore. Type of
Ouch.
When you ask somebody for the truth, be prepared. They might just give it to you.
Yeah, and you need somebody like that, really.
Yeah. I mean, you do somebody you can trust. Now, I don't take criticism from everybody because I don't know the heart of that person. But the heart of my husband is for me to be successful. So I will listen to his criticism, and it's it's nice. He's not rude or anything, but he's honest. And because I thought at a festival I was going to do the smooth flute thing, and afterwards he said that didn't work. And it was like you were saying, it took the audience down to an audience that was really ready to be pumped up. You can't pump them up and then say, okay, we're going to go smooth. So.
Yeah.
Right.
I know what you mean.
I'm glad to hear that, because because music is going to continue to evolve, and the audience is the one that's paying for the tickets.
Yeah.
So I think we have to keep them in mind, because I'm a fan too. When I go to your show, I want to hear what I saw in your live Artful Expression. Y'all look that up on YouTube. It's with Nathan Brown on bass. Those two rocked it, and it's just 4 people on stage. See. 4 people can rock a show, and you proved that. That was amazing. So you guys go to his YouTube channel. That is really nice. And I know Gris is probably about to say we need to hear some music, right, Gris?
But before we go into that real quick, just like, even though you might, going back to, the snooze fest kind of thing, even though you might love that artist, but it's just like, okay, we're live, you know, keep it funky or keep it peppy, you know, just like, 'cause I was like, one time I almost did fall asleep. I was just doing my iPhone. Kind of like, okay, I love you, but come on, I'm gonna.
Yeah, you just
Right.
And it, you know, it kind of scared me when I saw him. I'm thinking, well, is that what
the heck?
Is that what your team is saying? Hey, you got to do this now. This is what the people want to hear. And I'm just, you know, I just step back from it. Yeah.
And maybe he needs somebody to be honest with him, like my husband is with me, to say, you know what, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or if I know you just want to play one instrument, but you're gonna have to start singing, or have to have, you know, just different things that he's observing that will keep the audience engaged. And sometimes I call myself a cover girl. I mean, I cover music because I, you know, entertain people with cover music, and then I have original. But even when you're doing covering music, you have to know your audience.
Yeah,
and they may not want to hear that. So it can be a challenge, but at least you can make your best effort. So I appreciate that you know that. But don't you find that you increase the tempo a little bit faster on a live show as opposed to the recorded track?
Definitely. And in fact, a lot of times I'm telling the drummer, look, we got to pick it up a little bit, you know, from the studio track. Let's make this again. And back to you guys' point, I want to make it exciting. I want to make it funky. I want to, you know, I don't want to play elevator music for this crowd. I want to
kind of raise that energy up.
Yeah, I got to raise the energy up. So.
Yeah, it keeps you as well, because you feed off of each other.
True.
Yeah.
Right. Good point.
If they're hyped, then you keep going as well. So it's just back and forth. So yeah. All right, G, let's get into some music.
Okay. Well,
Come on, G.
yes. Let's talk a little bit though. So, Patrick, so tell us a little bit about Jazz on the Vine. I mean, fantastic music on it of some of the tracks that we've gotten here so far. So, yeah, just kind of give us kind of an overview of it before we actually get into it.
It's I wanted to make sure it was the most smooth project I've ever recorded. No, I'm just kidding. It was it's God, Grace, you got me thinking about Zeppelin and everything. Then you got
Cashmere in the back of your head.
Yeah, I know. There ain't nothing. There's not anything like Cashmere on this album, but this album came about. It was just more like scenic stuff. Being up, you know, around wine country and thinking about everything with wine. And I didn't want to make it so laid back, but I wanted to make it kind of grooving and some theme music in there. So, and again, hopefully the groove's still in there for everybody, and some influences that came in are probably some of my biggest influence, like Pat Metheny and some other cats like that. Larry Carlton's in there too. So
Yes.
Super nice. Okay, well, let's go ahead and start out with I guess Road to Napa. Do you think that'd be a good choice to start with?
Sure.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that one, Patrick.
Just wine country. It's still, we have ours down here in San Diego, and just wherever the wineries are, it's just beautiful areas, and traveling through different areas. And that's that kind of made the setting for the song.
You know, and also, you know, like, I know there's festivals out there too. It seems like there's always been that connection with wine and jazz music, hasn't it? Because I know I've seen where they've had a lot of sponsors for certain festivals that are, you know, I guess that are kind of rounding some of those places where they make that great wine.
Yeah, I'm supposed to play one of those for Michael Paulo, one of Michael Paulo's jazz festivals in June.
Oh, very nice.
If hopefully it still happens, but
hopefully.
Yeah, we're all hoping. So,
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Well, let's let our listeners check it out. So everybody get ready, and we're gonna get into some of the music, and then we'll be back. So if you just tuned in, of course, our special guest today, Patrick Yandall, is here with us, and we're gonna enjoy some of this music right now. So keep it locked right here, and we'll be right back. Keep it.
losing you every day. You're the one that took my heart away.
a couple of tracks that we actually, It's Red Tonight, and then before that, Road to Napa, and my goodness. So, yes, awesome work.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, Patrick.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You are welcome. And
All these years you've been in the business, have you ever taken a break?
No. No, not really. You know, once I got going, early 80s to the later 80s when I really kicked in, I've never taken a break from music. It's been, it's what I know how to do, and it's kind of scary sometimes. I tell this to people, and no, it's not, but I say it's all I really know how to do, and I do it every day. I wake up every morning. I have a schedule. I come into my studio and start working. So that's my day, and that's all I know how to do. And if I don't do it, if we go on vacation or something for a few days or a week or so, I get itchy. I need to play a guitar or sit down and work with music. It's just something kind of scary, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I wanted to actually know, Patrick, your years of playing and stuff, what type of guitars you like to play with?
I've got a bunch of Epiphones, and I've had Gibsons, which are the little bit more expensive models of the Epiphones, but their necks never really worked for me, so I'd end up getting rid of them. But well, one of my main guitars is actually a Fender Strat. It's a custom one.
Oh, yeah.
And I use that for a lot of studio stuff. Like there's a group called Under the Lake that has a new album out doing pretty well. And I did all their guitar sessions for their new album, and that was mostly my Strat. It was
sweet.
And that thing's been with me for a long time, longer than any other guitar, and I've done countless sessions with that thing. So yeah, the Strat's really the go-to for session stuff. Usually people want me to sound like, but you know how it is. Hey, can you sound like Paul Jackson Jr. on this rhythm section, or hey, can you play a solo like Larry Carlton? Sometimes the Larry Carlton stuff is good on the Epiphones too, but a lot of times I've used the Strat on it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry.
What is your favorite place to perform? Is it are they musical, live concerts, living room gigs, private gigs? What is your favorite place to perform?
I've got a couple, but one of my favorite, and I do it. I was doing it yearly, but now, with budgets and everything now, there's a place in Bay City, Michigan called the State Theater. And it's not a huge theater, and it's just big enough where maybe like 300 people can get in there, and they have a balcony. And when I've played there before, and a few shows were just packed, it's really it's an intimate setting. And I grew up there, and I know a lot of the people, and a lot of the people that come there. But then a lot of people from the surrounding areas have come to the show, and it just feels good in there. And then that video you saw of Artful Expression, that's was filmed there. So I did a PBS special there. They did a PBS special on my music and me, and we did a whole big thing that was filmed there. And then we did it, we showed it in the Midwest for the PBS, affiliates.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's a good memories there.
Yes. Yeah. And how are you processing this new era that we're in right now with COVID-19 affecting a lot of music festivals, cancellations left and right? How are you coping with it? How are you being creative right now?
My day, to be honest, hasn't changed much. It's get up and get in the studio, compose. I still try to keep an hour or so a day to practice. And in this environment, a lot of stuff has been cut back for musicians also, besides the live stuff. Like a lot of my music is used in background services and stuff like that, which a lot of stores are closing, so they're not using the background services. So royalties and everything are going down. So, I hate to say it, but a lot of us that do this kind of thing that depend on the royalties are going to see their royalties change a lot in the next few months, because you know how royalties are back 3 semesters or whatever, quarters of the year.
Yeah.
So it's, all of us are kind of sitting on pins and needles when this quarter comes up in royalties. It's going to be like, okay, what am I gonna do?
Right.
So again, just still trying to keep things going, no matter what, just put together more music and hopefully goes somewhere.
Sure.
Right.
Well, I think we can keep working and just be ready for when this thing is done.
I agree.
And you'll be ready. Instead, they'll go stagnant, but if you keep doing something, and I had to pick myself up to do something, let me do something. And so I finally did a live streaming show. I wasn't in the mood to be honest with you. I wasn't in the mood. I said, I'm not in the mood for whatever reason, but I'm glad that my husband pushed me, because it got me out the funk. I'm not talking about musical funk, but to get going and to do something. But what about you? Have you thought about doing a live streaming show?
Well, a couple of people that have smooth jazz companies or whatever have approached me about doing one where they wanted me to do it, with them promoting it or showing it. And I'm like you, to be honest, how you were talking about you were at first. I've been posting a bunch of solo guitar pieces just because, I work on studio stuff, and then I'm thinking, well, I'm going to do this instead of doing that live show stuff. I've just been posting, solo guitar pieces. Yeah. And to me, I'm leery about doing that live show thing too. I'm not that entertaining.
Yes, you are. I saw it. Yes, you are definitely entertaining.
I don't think so.
Oh my God! You ask somebody else. Believe yourself.
I'm just the guitar player. Keep him in the bag.
Just like you said, you found out the girls like the guitar. Do you still play trumpet? Do you?
Not since fourth grade.
Okay.
I did it again. It was fun, and it started me out in being able to read music better than I had been. So. Yeah, and I kind of stuck with trying to read better as the years went on from that. So.
Yeah. Now, I was kind of wondering, when we talked a little bit off air earlier about the music licensing, sync and stuff, you've been doing that for a little bit. Have you, I don't know exactly when you actually start, but do you think there's been a change in how that world is compared to time back, up to now?
Yeah, it really has changed. When they first approached, I never went after that. I didn't know that was a means of getting income, to be honest. When way back in the 90s, I had a company approach me about using my music for that, and that's how I got into it. It was once they started using it and licensing it, and then seeing the royalties generated. Then it was like, okay, hey, this is kind of cool. And then, cats are kind of tight-lipped about it because, to be honest, back then they were tight-lipped.
Very much
and then
so.
it kind of blew up. Well, yeah, like everything, it got, and then now a lot of people know how to do it. So it's still okay, but now the market is just so flooded.
Saturated, isn't it?
And you any type of song that somebody that's doing a movie might need for different things, it's out there,
Yeah.
And so the music that the person in charge of creating the music for a movie, it's funny that they even go outside of him, but that's where you can get your music into some films and stuff, and it's a lot tougher than it used to be.
Yeah.
What do you think about these music licensing sites? Like, I think it's Music X-Ray. There's one Song R where you pay a fee, monthly fee to enter your music. Gary's like,
I don't, I don't know. There's one that I went to, they approached me, so I uploaded some music. then all of a sudden they're asking for fees, and it's like, well, I don't. Again, it's
Right.
it's kind of sketchy out there for
It's
some of
very
those
sketchy.
companies,
Yeah.
And maybe some of them are legit, but there's just it doesn't sound right to me.
It's not. I don't really believe in it because, for one, why do I have to pay to submit my music to you if you're trying to, because if they're gonna submit music for you, of course they're gonna get their cut once they do the
right on the back end.
Yeah, back end, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But just to submit, and then like you said, you probably got so many people that are signed up to that thing. It's just probably a sea of folks or oceans of folks, and
yes,
nobody's not gonna, you know what I'm saying? I really think that's just a money plot for them, and they make it look good up front, but in reality, they listen and their stuff is just sitting there. It's not gonna get placed.
But they get that monthly fee. Yeah. Well, I look for win-win situations. If it's a win-lose and I'm losing, I don't care to be a part of it. Right. And what I love is that more and more people are now writing reviews, and I can go online. It has saved me several times from signing up for something that would not have benefited me at all. And I have made my share of mistakes, and my goal is not to make another one. Right. So that you have to do your diligence, or you have to research, you have to do the best you can. But when you're an indie artist like I am, well, I don't have the pedigree that guys like you have. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, what is this? Let me read it. But at least sometimes I'll sit sometimes and read a contract in detail and go, okay, that's not going to work for me. This just record deals supposedly. What did I tell you guys? One said, we'll take 20% of even a loan that you get.
What? What?
I don't even need to contact a lawyer for that one.
Yeah. That's
like, okay. But I say that to say, I think there are people, like Gary said, they're looking for people like myself that don't have a whole lot of backing, that don't know a lot. But I always say, you know how to read, right? So just if it doesn't feel right, it probably is not right.
Right.
Yeah, the companies that I've had success with approach me and they say, look, we're in charge of doing the music for this TV show. We'd like to use this track of yours for this TV show. And that's where it's really been good for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that.
It's all set. It's not like, hey, submit your music and maybe we can get it into a movie, a TV show. Because that means you're just going into this huge vat of music of artists and everything. So, it's.
See, that's a no-brainer. If I get I was approached once, and I did have 2 or 3 tracks, but I was approached.
Yeah.
And I was comfortable with that, but all this other stuff, I was just like, I don't know. I didn't feel comfortable unless it's a deal where I'm going to get some training. There has to be, to me, I'm looking for a win-win. I don't mind you getting paid, but what am I going to get out of it? That might sound selfish. That's what I ask.
Yep.
Well, it's good to hear that has been a good source of income and work, because a lot, there are people listening who are independent artists always trying to figure out, like myself, how do I make this work and being in music, because I took 20 years off, and I hear you never took a break, and I'm like, I wish I hadn't. But you get married, you have kids, and
well,
I gotta eat.
Taking that time off, that's not that big of a deal to me. The only reason I told my story, that was my story, but I know guys.
I love it.
I know a lot of guys that have taken the time off, and you know what? Music's a beautiful thing. It's a great thing, but it can't be everything to everybody. It's just there's other things in the world, and
but when it's in your DNA, even when you're not doing it, because my BFF, we've been friends forever. She said, you really never, even though you didn't play, I could tell that it was still in you.
Yeah. It's part of your soul. It's just a lot of guys. I'm picking up the guitar again. I haven't played in 15 years, since high school or something, or you think it's a good idea. I said, And once you're a player, it becomes part of you. Like, you play for a certain amount of time when you're younger, it's still, to me, it's always going to be there. There's that joy of doing music, and there's nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's just like my kids, I had a requirement. I said piano is a requirement. It's like math and science. You don't have a choice.
That's good.
Now, once you're 18, you don't have to ever do it again.
Yeah.
But it'll be something you can always go back to.
Right.
So
that's a very good thing. Yeah.
But I learned from, because I didn't have that support.
Yeah.
I didn't have, when I went to college, I didn't have any music lessons. How dare I thought I could major in music.
Yeah.
But Patrick, I often tell people, I said, the only difference between you and I is the hours that I put into it. And when I hear you talk about what you do every day, many people don't understand you are that great and you've had all this success because you've actually put the time into it. So could you elaborate on that to people who just don't have a clue? Like, what do you do all day?
Yeah. Well, it's been funny over the years. Sometimes I'll be introduced to somebody, hey, this is such and such. He's a musician. And then the question that follows that is, oh, what do you do for your job though? I mean, and people don't really wrap their head around. Again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn just about what I do, but I just do. That's my job. That's I'm doing. Every day is going into work. I have a schedule, like I said, a schedule where, okay, we're doing studio stuff today. We're recording today. We're composing today. We're practicing today. All that stuff is part of my day. And, I know some people think musicians sit around all day and watch YouTube or something like that. Or Comedy Central. But, I have to think that the successful musicians that do it solely as their one occupation are putting the time in, and that's the way it's got to be.
Yeah.
And especially if you have the means to be able to do that and not have to have a day job.
Right.
And I know, like with Gary, I know he has to have a day job right now. I know he would love to be working on his music all freaking day.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah.
That would be awesome because that would make me happy as well. But it's just right now not feasible for everybody. But for those that can, it's amazing. It's a blessing.
Well, I know
that you've been blessed to be able to do this job, your love, your passion every day. So, I mean, that's awesome.
And again, not everybody has to do it like I do, but for me, I have to do it that. I have to do it that way. And and Joyce and Gary know this to be working in this thing called. What did Becker from Steely Dan called it? Loserdom, being a musician. It's a whole state of mind. This loserdom called a musician. And when he said that, I almost started crying. I was like, it is. What am I doing? What am I into? Because it is. It's tough. It's like, again, I do it. For my job, but if you think about the hours put in and what the return is, it's not a very good job. It's not, you know what I mean? And then with my wife and everything, thank God she's always had a steady job that you knew what was coming in. Like, being a musician, it's like this month is okay, but next month, holy cow, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Nothing's happening. So again, and I know, so many of my friends, they depend on live performances. Well, one thing about me, that wasn't such a major deal for me. It stinks, and I did lose a lot of income, but I had other things that were set up over the years. I didn't know that I would depend on them so much, but that's I had that backing, or I would be working full time too, so doing something else and working on music at night. It was just the things that happened earlier in my career allow me to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's
again.
Awesome.
Very awesome. Very good.
Thanks. And again, thanks to having this beautiful wife that just believed in me, even when the money wasn't that great, or again, she sees it. She's doing the same roller coaster with me. 1 month, hey, that was pretty good. Nice job. Next month, what happened? What happened this month?
Yeah.
That's how it is with me. If it weren't for my husband, I couldn't do this full time either. So yeah. So I agree with you on that. But right now, are you with the label now, or are you independent?
Independent. Just my past few records are on my own label. So I was on Intervision Records. Great guys out of LA. There's a lot of good cats on. Will Donato's on there, and a lot of really nice cats on there. And it was, Blake, and they're on there. And
Is Greg Manning on there too?
I know he's working with a lot of artists on there. I don't know if
I can't
he's
remember.
an actual Intervision artist. I'm not. I kind of fell out of touch with those guys. It was kind of cool. We'd get together every year and play this NAM Jam up at Spaghettini.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't done it in a couple of years. And I played at NAM last year, and I was asked to come play with one of the artists, but I was actually playing at NAM, so I couldn't perform there at that NAM Jam. So
Awesome. That's what I meant to ask you earlier too. Do you have any type of endorsements?
I'm endorsed by Seymour Duncan Pickups for guitars, Levy's Leathers, which I don't know if you can see behind me some of the leopard guitar cases. They make those.
Yeah.
And geez, I get stopped in the airports all the time. Where'd you get that bag made? I want a purse made out of that. I want a jacket made like that. So yeah, Levy's. It looks like Levi's, but it's Levy's Leathers. They started up in Canada, and then strings, Elixir strings. I even have a clothing thing with Tatau Clothing Limited. There, they actually make Polynesian wear, so I like to wear that stuff under my jackets and stuff when I perform. So,
Very cool.
and that's what I am actually. My dad's Samoan, and my mom was British and Samoan.
Nice.
Your dad is Samoan?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That is so cool.
Because when I first saw you, because I didn't know very much about you the first time I saw you, I said, okay, he looks like he's from Hawaii or something.
Yeah.
Then when I was like, oh no, he's actually his lineage is from Samoa. So like, oh okay, cool.
Hey, you said that right. You must know some Samoan. Yeah.
I heard it from The Rock himself. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Johnson, yeah.
That's a good way to say it. Samoan.
It's Samoan? It's
Samoan.
Samoan. Oh, sorry. Well,
that's okay.
My cousin married a Samoan. That's how I know. I had never heard of it, so I think it's cool.
Nice.
Well, that's great. I'm just learning a lot from you. That this is just a beautiful thing to see your life in music. You're the envy.
It scares me to hear somebody say they're learning a lot from me, though.
I'm like a sponge. I told there's a saxophone player here in Dallas. He's like an icon. He's just awesome, Shelly Carroll. And I was just sitting back listening to his tonality, his phrasing on a ballad, and I thought it was excellent. I said, Shelly, I learned everywhere I go, I steal. He said, Joyce, we all steal.
We all steal.
Yeah. So when somebody asked I didn't have anybody famous to mentor me, but I always listened to their music. So actually anybody can mentor you because everything is accessible.
Yeah, nowadays, definitely.
It is.
If anybody says I didn't steal from anybody, they're lying. They are lying. Any musician.
Exactly. Yeah.
You cannot play.
That's funny. That is funny.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, a question, Patrick, on one of the tracks that you sent, Darker the Grape. Is that the correct title? Am I saying it right? Darker the Grape?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, I'm thinking, I was hearing like steel pan in there.
Yeah.
Is somebody actually playing the steel pan?
No, that's I do all the instruments and all that stuff that you're listening to. So that's an actual sample, and then I play it a sample. I play it on the guitar, but the sound that comes out is that steel drum. Yeah.
Okay, because the reason I also mentioned that because in the chat room we have Bickley Rivera, and she plays that's her instrument.
Oh, really?
Bickley.
That's what she was probably saying. That's not a real steel drum.
That's how I hear saxophones. When I hear saxophone, that's not a real one.
Yeah. And but if I use a sample of a saxophone, I'll have it way in the background because I just want it there for like flavor. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Some of the guitar samples, I'll hear, hey, listen to that nice 12-string guitar. That's a keyboard. Real guitar doesn't go that low.
That's true. Oh, no.
Bass.
Yeah.
I'll play steel pen if you want. If you want, I should play it for you.
I love a real steel pan. Yeah, steel drums. That looks beautiful.
Is amazing.
Really,
she is the master of that.
Amazing. Oh my gosh.
She's got some really nice chill music. Every Tuesday now she's doing a 1-hour show, and it's really nice.
Where is she from?
She is based out of Florida.
Yeah, out of the Florida area. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, we're all over. We have people on the show from all over the world. We've had other countries on. This technology allows us to interview several people, and I'm enjoying it. I always love talking to other artists, find out what you're doing. I have a question though, because I think it was Ken Navarro that made a comment about this. Now the going thing is, back in the day, they would book your whole band and your whole band would go. Now they just want the artist and they want the house band.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Again, I was playing the River Raisin Festival in Michigan, and John Patterson, rest in peace, another wonderful cat that passed away, was the organizer of that. And for years, he was trying to get me to play it. And he'd say, well, how much this year, Patrick? How much is it going to be to get you out here and play this? And I would give him a figure. And he said, that's way too much. We can't, I'd love to pay you that, but we can't do that. So it kept being put off. Well, one year I said, hey, how about I come and play with some just Detroit cats? The musicians around that area are insane, and I know a lot of them. And he said, you do that? And I said, in a heartbeat. He said, why didn't you tell me that all these years? You could have, this was like 10 years in a row. I said, John, if you would have just said, hey, why don't you just use some cats? So for me, it's not as good. Like guys that usually play for my concerts is like Kevin Flournoy on keys, Nathan Brown on drums, and Tony Lee on drums and Nathan Brown on bass. And that was the 4. And sometimes we'd add somebody else, but those are the 3 main guys that have always played with me. And it's a great thing. You know how it is when you got guys that, okay, they know you're going to change things up here and they're going to follow. Well, sometimes you get with guys that haven't played with you, they don't know where you're going. And they're looking at you like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
That's not what the music says. So anyway, that's the bad thing about doing. But I've done shows in Michigan, Detroit, and some surrounding areas back there in the Midwest. That was guys, and I, before the end of the show, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy's insane. He's that good, where everything was great, and and it was a great show. So I mean, it's it can go either way. You can get a guy that you're just looking at him the whole show, but what are you playing over there? Is that one of my dudes? Or are you just you come here to practice or something? But again, you get it. Sometimes it was like, oh my gosh, listen to this cat. And it's mostly the latter. Usually it's great cats. Again, like for that River Raisin, they just put these cats behind that are huge musicians around the Detroit area, and they actually tour with a lot of people. Like the keyboard that played with me last time was with Marion Meadows. The guy was just beautiful, just beautiful player. And it's just by the end of the show, I'm just like, you couldn't. It was a blast. It was so enjoyable. So again, it could go both ways, but that's how these festivals can go on nowadays. It's they've got to put those guys. They can't afford to hire these whole bands unless you're Spyro Gyre or somebody. Then it's like, okay, we got to bring this whole band in, or Bone. Yeah. So if you want to play it,
and I understand, but I used to think, well, that's because I don't have a well-known name. And then I start speaking to guys like you and on the show, and I'm thinking, oh, so this happens. And even when I was in Springs, you gave me some background what happened to other artists. And I said, okay, but I didn't know that. And but I've been taking these risks because that's the only way I'll get to go in other states. And you know,
you're not the only one.
I had 2 shows back to back, and I had a different band because that venue wanted their band and the other one wanted theirs. I couldn't share it. So that was very risky.
Most of the time, though,
you got to be creative on the stage. You go, okay, I don't know where they are, but I'm going to pretend that's where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You guys know my prerogative? Kick it in.
Yes.
There you go.
Everybody solo. Everybody solo.
That's good.
I tell you what, though. We were playing a multi-artist thing for the Huntington Beach Jazz Festival, and something happened. I think one of the artists had backing tracks or something, and the backing tracks weren't working. And it was actually, it had the whole intro so the band just standing around, and we kicked in to play that funky music, and the crowd went nuts.
They went off.
Just great. And I'm up there thinking, we're play that funky music, wife, and it's going over. This is a jazz festival, huge jazz festival. I'm just thinking, geez, you know what I mean? You just don't know what's gonna happen.
And sometimes, like I said, you have to be creative. And in my thing, everybody always knows Mr. Magic. I said, kick Mr. Magic.
Yeah.
And I have 4 songs that 4 or 5 songs that I can bring the crowd in. So you have to be ready with something like that. And I thought it was just me. But the more I hear from people, like I said, I'm always learning. Then I can just relax and realize. But what some are doing, and I've experimented with that one time, is using stems. Drummer has his setup. You can send him the stems, and you have that support. But not everybody will be prepared to use. So you have all those challenges, but
I get scared about that stuff though too, because I'm always like, if there's something that can go wrong, it's going to be electronically. And to me, it's amazing to me that shows ever happen, because so many things could go wrong. One cable, Gary, cable bad, one, a string break, one string breaks, or the amp isn't working, or again, and
your
and
reed
that's
warps.
yeah,
Your reed warps in the
exactly.
heat.
Anything can happen. So it's
Or
tough.
your mic isn't, because the sound guy didn't do something, or the mic is off, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you get zapped by your mic. You go up to say something.
I've never had that. Oh
I'm
my
not saying
God.
anything.
Oh man, that's an awakening.
I gotta tell you a story that happened in Humphreys one time though. I released a new album, packed the place, great night. It was before the first song, and I thought, okay, every song is brand new, and so a lot of these people that have watched me all these years haven't heard these songs, so I'm just going to give a little explanation of them. Well, I started giving an explanation of the very first song of the night, and I'm going into the story, and I got about maybe 2 sentences in, and this lady yells out, "Nobody cares, just play some damn music." And the rest of the night, never said a word, just turned to the band. Okay, kick it in. I told that story to somebody, and it was a music writer here in San Diego. He said, "Well, you got over it, right?" And I said, "To this day, I never explained what a song is about." He said, "That was 10 years ago." I said, "I know." I said, "I'll make a brief introduction, but every time I go to start talking about a song like that, I think of that lady and her voice."
Really?
Still here.
Oh my God.
Right. We actually ask you to explain this, to go into the background of the song.
Oh man.
Joyce, you yell out, "Nobody cares, just play the music."
I didn't do that.
I hope that never happens to you.
I've had insults from the audience before, and since I'm so like my brother calls me feisty, I usually have a one-liner right back for him.
Good for you.
And laugh it off and keep going, or but things happen, because I do shows with backing tracks because of their budget. I said, okay, I can do this. with backing tracks, and I said something one time. I said I have my band in a box, and a guy yells out, "You cheating!" I said, "Hey, sister, gotta do what she gotta do."
Good for you. Good for you. I'm gonna try that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Change the phone yourself.
You know, okay.
I'm not gonna change the phone.
All right.
Just a good.
Just doing it correct and her attitude as well.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Okay, guys. Before we run out of
So
time.
that's my first.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
What, Gary?
No, I was saying before we run out of time, let's get a couple of the other two tracks played there for our listeners, and then we'll come back and get close to wrapping things up. So we're gonna go into the next two, and you might tell us a little bit. Darker the Grape and Jazz on the Vine, both of those there. Those are nice.
Ooh.
Both the one Jazz on the Vine, the title track, it's got a little bit of reggae flavor in there. It's a shuffle. I got the guitar synth working in it, and Darker the Grape, again, this is when I did it. It was just a kind of a cool concept about darker the grape, the sweeter the juice, or the old saying.
Yeah.
And
I do.
yeah. So that's pretty much. I'm not going to say any more, explain the songs anymore, because somebody's going to yell out. I'm going to see the text on the site here on the YouTube site. Just shut up and play the music.
Oh, very good. Okay, well, we're going to let our listeners check it out, and then we're going to come back. So everybody keep it locked right here. We enjoyed some great music and conversation with our guest today, Patrick Yandall. He is here with us live. So we'll be right back. got to hear a couple more great ones from our music guest today. That was really nice. Road to Napa. We had actually all four of the tracks that we played today. You had Jazz on the Vibe, Road to Napa, It's Red Tonight, and Darker the Great. And it's been really enjoyable music. Enjoyable talking to this man right here.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
Honored to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome, man.
I enjoyed it. I see we have some fans on Facebook. I just glanced over there.
Mm-hmm.
Alicia Green said, "Hello, I'm from Lancaster, Texas."
All right.
And Lorenzo Small, he said, "Oh, that is a smooth groove." He's digging on that. Just several people making Jam said she's watching on Facebook. Jam Morales, she's a regular here.
Well, she's also on the chat room here.
She is there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She's here too on
So
YouTube.
thanks to everybody who's enjoying my share. James Whaley Jr. He said nice. Okay. Great.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining. I know we're about to wind down. So Gary, how do you want to do the final minutes of the show?
Yes. Well, I just want Mr. Yandall to tell us where the listeners and viewers can actually go and check out everything about you, your music, just kind of keep up with you.
On Facebook, it's Patrick Yandall Music. Patrick Yandall Music. PatrickYandall.com is my website. I have a Reverb Nation site where you can go in and see concert videos and listen to a lot of my music. It's ReverbNation.com/Patrick Yandall.
Nice. Absolutely. Please go check him out. And
thank you.
And please get his music if you don't have it yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, you just Google Patrick Yandall, and there's just a ton of stuff, Wikipedia and everything, where you can find out a lot about every label he's been with and all of the music. So he's easy to find.
Just Google the nice stuff.
I know.
Yes.
Not that one show that, I don't know if you said that on the air or not. Let me be careful. Let me back up.
Yeah, did anybody say that was me that said that at your show? Did anybody text that on the chat room?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. Whatever happens on YouTube stays on
Okay. Oh yeah.
So you're in a concert, you see a million phones up, and you're going, "Oh, I cannot miss a note."
Mm-hmm.
The pressure is on.
Definitely. Yeah.
But Gary?
It's just like I said, it's been a pleasure having you today, Patrick, and we welcome you here. Anytime you want to come back, please let us know.
I would love to. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. Had a blast with you guys. My cheeks are sore from laughing. My cheeks are sore.
Great. Well, it sounds like we did our job then, because that's what we like. We like for people to have a good time when they come over and hang out with us, and like I said, we definitely look forward. We can definitely keep playing your music on the show as well. And then for everybody, I guess I just want to tell everybody Happy Easter, and then for
Happy Easter.
Passover and all that, and it's a different time now. Of course, we have to do things differently, of course, but I just pray that all of this craziness get out of here. I hope it's just too wild. It still messes with me in my mind, be thinking about it. You know what I mean? Because it's,
me too.
Yeah, it's an unsure type of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know what's next or when it's gonna reside or what have you. But I'm praying, hoping that it's gonna happen fast. Hopefully, so we can all get back to normal.
Right.
So,
I think it's tough every time I hear somebody lose their life to it, and it's something that didn't have to happen.
Right.
That hurts. Even if it's not you or your family, it's still something. Because you're just as vulnerable as the next person.
Yes. Yeah. You're so right.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Be safe to everybody. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely. Do everything you can to protect yourself out there. Okay. Well, it looks like we are just about that time to get up. So everybody, thank you again for tuning in. Thank you, Patrick, for hanging out.
Yeah, thank you.
Loved it.
Yeah, loved all of you guys. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Oh, our pleasure.
Our pleasure as
Definitely.
well. And let's see, I don't know what's scheduled for next week. Grizz will cue us on that, but I just want to say everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Joyce?
Peace.
All right. I just want to thank Patrick for being here and sharing your experience. It's awesome to hear that. And I celebrate your lifelong success with you. I think that's a beautiful thing. Because if one person can do it, then it gives me hope as well. So
if I can do it, anybody can.
Hey, don't try.
Yeah.
Because it's not just me, but there's several independent artists that are on the show, and I know they appreciate that as well. So, and enjoyed everybody who listened on YouTube chat, and thanks for listening on Facebook as well, my friends for joining and listening to this wonderful artist. And Patrick, like Gary said, you are always welcome to come back, and anything we can do for you, just let us know. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Gris?
Patrick, was there anything else, any other shout outs you want to give to the people in the chat room? Because I know a lot of them came because of you.
Just thanks for coming on the show and listening, and just love to everybody, and prayers, and be safe in this crazy mess we're in. Like Gary was saying, we'll get through it. Just hopefully it's soon, and we can all get back to doing the things we love to do outside, and concerts and music and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the faith.
Yes.
Yes. Indeed.
Yes. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, you guys. Appreciate it.
So glad that we were able to finally get in sync.
We got it. Yeah, we got it.
So, like I said, whenever you want to come back, just reach out and text me, and we'll start it. We'll get this again. We'll do this again.
I love the show. I'll be chiming in anyway for the other artists
awesome.
too.
Oh, great!
Thank you.
That would be awesome.
I hope to see you in Dallas,
Yeah.
Texas,
Oh,
somewhere.
I'd love to. San Antonio was talking to me about coming there and performing. Hopefully that comes through too. So
Awesome.
we'll get over there.
Cool.
You got to come.
Drive there.
You
That's
got to
about
come.
5 hours.
You better bring your horn, Joyce.
I'll
Yeah.
have to ask you twice now.
You got it. Yeah. Yes. I'll make sure the keyboard player doesn't yell at you. Sister got to do what sister got to
That's a good one.
I'm going to remember that line forever now.
Funny.
Oh, that's too funny.
Love it.
But yes, and I'll sorry. Sorry, that was good. Anyway, again, everyone that tuned in on the YouTube, that's the one I keep up more than on Facebook. Thank you, and also the ones that tuned in on Facebook for live with either with Gary or with Joyce. Thank you for doing that, and please do that next week again.
Yes.
Remember to invite a friend. I'm still waiting to hear, because the person that I reached out to had gone back to me.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're going to be with us or not. It might just be us next week. So we'll see. We'll let you know once we do the promo poster for the following week.
Okay.
But be safe out there. For those that already had celebrated Passover, I hope that you still had a good one with your family. And for those of us that are going to be celebrating Easter, have a happy Easter. And like I said, be safe out there. Okay, do whatever precautions you have to take for yourself and your family to stay healthy and safe. And everyone enjoy your weekend. Have a great one. We will see you next week.
Yes,
Ciao.
absolutely. And for those of you, if you just happen to tune in a little late and you missed part of the show, you'll be able to check out it's everything in its entirety probably within the next hour or so. So we'll definitely have that all posted up in all the places for everybody to get. So,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All
just
right.
for you, Terry Tuck, because you came in late.
That's right.
Shame on you.
Brother T, what's happening?
I missed it. I'm like, okay, for you, Terry Tuck, it's going to be in the archives.
Right on.
All right, folks. Y'all have a great
Okay.
weekend. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Ciao.
Yeah. Peace.